Yeah, I did watch a news article that talked about how these like endurance athletes actually really like eating fruitcakes. Like there's
I'm not surprised. It seems like a really good sugar carb
correct
combo.
And because of
Might have some protein in it. There's like nuts, right?
Yeah, there's nuts.
Yeah.
And the other part was like they all really liked it because it like, especially the endurance winter athletes, it doesn't freeze like hard.
Oh yeah.
So unlike a protein bar, so there was like this resurgence for fruitcake, and this fruitcake. Yeah, and this fruitcake company was like, I don't understand what is happening.
Why it's happening now, but I'm not gonna complain.
They're like, I'm not mad about it.
Welcome to High Pairings. I'm Grace.
I'm Claire.
And today, what are we doing?
We're doing a crack fic.
Oh, I forgot.
I will say, I really enjoyed this fic. I had so much fun reading it.
Did it feel like true crack? Because I feel like the term crack gets thrown around a lot.
Yes, and that's what I was about to explain, is that so you and I think of crack the way we think of like that fic where Shrek was going in dry into David Bowie.
Yeah.
And
I think I don't know if it was tagged crack, probably. We could go and look.
But here's my new theory. One cannot go searching for crack. One must stumble upon it. It's like the Sorcerer's Stone. You can only find it in the mirror of you can only find it if you
have to let it fall into your lap.
Yes, it will only come to those who are not searching for it. And
this is why we need to have other people be able to verify AO3 text.
But then I was then I was like Googling like what is the true definition of crack fic?
Webster's dictionary defines crack.
And technically a crack fic was just defined as a really silly fic that served no purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would argue
does any fanfic serve a purpose?
Yes.
Yeah,
the advancement of human society.
You're not wrong.
Objectively, I'm not right.
You're I don't know, you're often like academic land.
Yes. But
so I was thinking our Joe Jonas Brothers fic was a crack fic, but we would not have said that ourselves until maybe like now.
Yeah, it is crack in that it's like really silly and like the premise is ridiculous.
It's silly on purpose. It's not trying to take itself seriously. Mm-hmm. But I think that is what they mean when they say it serves no purpose. Like it's not. Yeah. No one's trying to do anything here.
Right. And so what I brought for you is a Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Fic, and it is a between Louise Belcher and Logan Bush. Are you familiar with?
Yes. No, it's one of my favorite shows. I am familiar with most of the things going on.
But yeah, for those who don't watch Bob's Burgers, it is a family that has a burger restaurant and like shenanigans ensues.
They're all a little silly.
Yeah, Louise is the youngest Belcher. She wears a pink rabbit hat. We were introduced to Logan, who is a high school boy.
Yeah. Or maybe middle school. I'm trying to remember how old
I Googled and it said he was 15.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
But I don't
no, you're right. Yeah. You're right. He is definitely in high school.
Yeah. So he's a high school boy who,
he's like in a rivalry with Louise because they, through happenstance, have to keep being around each other sometimes. Correct. He was like a bully.
Yes.
And she was fighting back. And
he stole her hat. Like the first episode, they were together. And then they like keep nemesis style running into each other.
Yeah.
And so this fic is like in the future when they are like grown up.
Okay.
And
me in love.
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, yes, but no.
Okay.
You'll see. Our author ships them. And so let me introduce the fic, and then we'll talk about the fic writer. The fic is called Pie versus Cake. And the summary is Louise and Logan have their stupidest argument to date. Also, there's a puzzle. And they're basically debating which is better, pie or cake.
Yeah. And yes, an eternal question.
Which before I introduce our author who I did get in touch with, are you team pie or team cake?
I don't really like either.
Well, that is the most controversial opinion you've had yet.
I like some cakes and I like some pies, but like as like its own entity, I guess cake. Okay. I guess cake.
And I, over the course of reading this, was like, maybe I am team pie. I love cake and I also love pie. And so I thought that I was a traditionalist and I would say cake. But then as I was reading this, I was like, I think I am in fact team pie.
Yeah.
But
I think like, yeah, if I'm thinking back, I choose cake more.
It's that when I was thinking about it, that like if I was like if I had
to make one, I'd definitely make a cake before I'd make a pie.
Yeah, I see that. I guess, and I've made more cakes in my life, but like I have made pies from scratch as well. Yeah. And I do love a pie. But I was like thinking about it that I was like, if I was in a buffet line and I got to like the table and the choices were like, and my favorite pie is a pecan pie, which will tie into our drink. But it's that I was thinking if it was like my favorite cake, then it would be one of those like wedding flavored cakes that are like almond flavored. And so I was like, if I got to that part of the table and I was like,
your favorite cake and your favorite pie.
It was my favorite cake and my favorite pie.
Yeah.
I would probably lean pie.
Yeah.
What is your favorite?
I do like, yeah, I like the less pie like pies. I feel like pecan pie is like the least pie like, you know what I mean? Because it's not like a fruit. To me, like an apple pie, like a cherry pie, like those are like the most pies. And
I would argue that the least pie pies are when people make slab pies, and those are basically a bar.
Slab pies.
It's
like a pudding pie kind of a...
No. A slab pie is like when you make it in like a cookie sheet.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So like it's more like...
That's really stretching the definition of a pie.
Yeah, hence why I think
I do like a pudding pie. Like I like a French silk pie. I like again, and that's like less of a pie.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, and the other part is like, I guess it's
just like pudding.
But
it's like the bread bowl of pies.
Yeah.
It's like a mechanism to get French silk into my mouth.
Correct. So to me, a pie is a crust, a filling, and a top.
Yeah.
And then usually served in cylindrical formation.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me introduce our author. So I got in touch with her. Her username is Babs0987, but we will refer to her as Babs.
How's Babs? How's old Babs doing?
Yeah, old Babs. So we had like a fun little conversation on our cup of our own. I asked her if she wants us to plug anything, and she would like to plug Logan Ship Week. Louise Logan Ship Week.
Logan.
Louigan, which will
not
be
a good ship name.
Yes, which will have been in the past, so I will tweet this out earlier. But it was September 24th through September 30th.
You can go back and read the fics now, if you like these.
True. And so she's helping to host on Tumblr, and the username that this will be under is Lugan Week. So when I asked how long have you been writing fic, she said officially 2 years, but over a decade without publishing.
Aww.
What drew her to fic? There wasn't a ton of fic for this pair, and I'll switch to her perspective. So I pulled fine, I'll do it myself. I've always loved a bantering enemies to lovers ship, and how can they evoke the most intense drama fics, absolutely ridiculous fics like this one, and everything in between. What inspired this particular fic? My partner asked if pie or cake was better, and I started debating with myself. Not
with them.
Yeah.
I was fighting with myself.
Yeah, not I'm so indecisive type of debate, but
both are right.
But and pie is better because of X, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking cake has Y, but actually that's why you're wrong.
Me.
Meanwhile,
that's why I'm wrong.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my partner hadn't spoken in 10 minutes. Yeah, right. Fun fact, I hate realistic cakes or cakes made to look like things that are not sweet with every fiber of my being.
Oh, that's funny.
If you bring a cake in the shape of a lobster.
That's a great argument for cake, though. Like, I get where their brain was going, because like that, if someone could make a pie look like something else, that would be fun, but no one's doing that.
Yeah. Fun fact about Claire, I can always tell when it's cake.
Did you watch that show, Is It Cake?
Yes, I did. And I was like, I don't understand. That one's the cake.
Even the Moneybags ones?
Yes,
yes. You did not. Yes. You're lying to me.
I was like,
lying.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't understand.
Claire has a cake sense.
Yeah, I have a cake sense. I can sense
I did like that show.
Ghost penises and when they are cake.
You have 9 senses. That's unfair. My 9th sense is I can tell when somebody's
my vampire superpower is being like, and that's cake.
That's cake.
And that's cake. Cut that. I'm sure it's cake. And
you'll just start stabbing stuff as a vampire. Everyone will think you're crazy, and then like, turn out that man over there was a cake.
It's cake the whole time. But anyway, so if you bring me a cake in the shape of a lobster, I'm kicking your ass if it's not seafood and butter flavored, which admittedly sounds disgusting, but it's better
That does
than
make sense though. Like I get why people get mad about like,
Agreed.
I made this burger out of cake, but it's peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, God,
it's a little confusing.
Which admittedly sounds disgusting, but it's better than the affront to nature that is tricking your taste buds visually. She's like, I wrote this joke, then remembered crab cakes are very much a thing. And I would argue those are not cake.
Yeah, fair.
Those are...
What about cheesecake? Is cheesecake a cake or a pie?
Cheesecake is closer to a pie because of its crust and its filling.
I agree.
So I think that is also...
It's the demon child of neither cake nor pie.
Yes, it's the bastard child that we have left out at the fireplace. Like the
fireplace.
The fireman's stoop. You know, like where you drop off abandoned babies.
Yeah, we left them at the stoop.
We put them on the stoop. Yeah, cheesecake is none.
It's
its own thing. It's honestly closer to a bar than it is to cake or pie.
Yeah, crab cakes are a thing.
What a hot take I'm having. Anyway, and crab cakes are
not cake.
Are not cake. They're closer to a biscuit.
Are cupcakes cake?
Yes, they are tiny cakes.
Okay, because I do love a cupcake, and if I'm never disappointed that a cupcake has entered the room.
That's that. Sure.
If I go to an event and it's like we're only having pie, I'd be like, okay.
And if I was there and and again, we're gonna walk down. If they were like, it's a slice of pie or a cupcake, I think I would still choose the pie.
You're a pie person.
But I will also say I'm in like peak pie time of my life. It's summertime, so I love pies in the summer.
Summertime is pie time? That's the most insane thing you've ever said.
It is.
Holiday time is pie time.
I mean, also holiday time is pie time.
You can't have multiple pie time.
It's always pie time.
You can't have peak pie time all the time. That just means you're a pie person.
If there is a vowel in the month, it is pie month.
It's pie month.
Every day that ends in Y is pie day.
If there's an irony in the month, it's a pie month.
It's a pie month. So yeah, that was our author. I told her about to gain her trust. I told her that pecan pie was my favorite, but that in the debates about our pie or cake better, someone once told me that they were like, pecan pie is disgusting. It looks like it's covered in crickets, and I was like,
you're not wrong. But
and I was like,
good.
what is wrong with you?
But it tastes like nothing. Like it just tastes like sugar.
I mean, yeah, that's what's delicious about it. Anyway,
doesn't taste like fruit at all.
Tastes like nuts. Anyway, that brings us to our drink. I nearly forgot.
The melted pecan pie.
It's that I really wanted to bring, again, because I was like so much thinking about pecan pie now. I was like, I wonder if there's a pecan pie cocktail. And I Googled it and there was like pecan pie martinis. I took a lot of these recipes and kind of swirled them around in my brain. And then also technically, as Josie pointed out, this is also basically a White Russian. So what this is, it's a lot of things.
There's only so many ways to combine a base liquor and other stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry if I ruined your creative drive and I was like, oh, you made a White Russian? And you were like, no, I did complex math to arrive here.
Sometimes you get to the same place from a weirder way and you have to take the journey.
The math is not from the cocktail, because essentially what this is an ounce of vodka, 2 ounces of Kahlua, and then 4 ounces of pecan creamer. And the pecan creamer is where my mathing came.
You had to home make some pecan cream.
I had to then make pecan creamer. And what I did was, and there was 1,000 different recipes, and I again swirled them all around in my head and was like, which ones
what can I do this day?
Gonna do? I blended up 1 cup of almond milk, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of maple syrup, and then probably closer to 2 tablespoons of pecans. And if I was going to redo this, I might toast the pecans to let them bloom and blah,
flavors.
blah, blah. But yeah, I just threw that all in a blender, blended it within an inch of its life, and then strained out all of the pecan slurry.
Yeah.
So that has brought us to this drink that is my pecan pie cocktail.
The pecan pie White Russian pie cocktail.
Yes, I did kind of think I liked the idea of a lot of people drink coffee with pie, so that's why I wanted Kahlua.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
So this could accompany your pecan pie slice.
Ooh, that is strong. It's also, it's creamy. It's good. It's kind of like a Bailey's drink.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of a Bailey's. It kind of has a pecan mapley.
Yeah, it has a different
flavor,
sweetness than a Bailey's would. I like it.
No,
it's
right?
Good.
This is what I want iced coffees to taste like.
Yeah, a little bit. Iced coffee feels like it could benefit from a nice mouth feel, you know?
Nice, full-bodied.
Yeah, bringing it back to Bob's Burgers. That's a very niche Bob's Burgers quote.
But yeah, so again, I love Bob's Burgers. This work is part of a series that is called "Won't Rue Be My Neighbor," but like rue like a cooking like a cooking roux.
I was thinking like you will rue the day.
No, ROUX. Won't rue be my neighbor? Pie versus cake. I can't believe we're even still talking about this. You blind bimbo, pass me the red. You can't believe it? Logan asked, scooping up the small pile of red puzzle pieces and handing them over. I mean, I knew you were bad news, but I can't believe I've been living next door to such a godless heathen for so long. Louise groaned as she
cute.
How
funny would that be to be like, wow, the kid I hated when I was 9 is my neighbor. That's a really funny close proximity.
That it is. That it is. Louise groaned as she sifted through the pieces and started on the next area. If you don't shut your... Oh, what were you going to say? Was it pie hole? Because pie is ingrained in our lexicon and the better dessert? Look me in the eye, Bush. Louise glared and pointed at herself with 2 fingers. Look me in the eye and tell me you have never referred to ass as cake.
I really thought Louise was going to be the pie kid.
I did too.
Surprising.
Okay, surprise.
What a twist.
The elevator's ding announcing her arrival. An elderly woman emerged from the glinting metal doors. She glided into the lobby wearing her Sunday best, a blonde chromatic sunflower yellow dress with a matching blazer and big hat. Against the industrial furniture and decor, she stood out as the epitome of exuberant style. Not that either of the 2 knuckleheads doing a puzzle on the coffee table took notice. Now what do we have here? Mrs. Winifred asked when she reached the front desk, pointing to the lounge area where the 2 continued their...
they're in an apartment building.
Yes.
Oh, cute.
Yes. Where the 2 continued their...
It's like, yeah, why are they at each other's houses?
Yeah, right.
Clearly they hate each other. I came over to hate on you and do a puzzle.
If that's not enemies to lovers, I don't know what is. Where the 2 continued
you gotta have a designated fight guy. Just a guy that you fight with, and it might as well be your neighbor. Because, like, I'm in a feud with one of my neighbors, but he doesn't know.
Yeah, I once drove Fits in the Tantrums, and I told them that everyone needs a nemesis.
Yeah.
So, and that's accurate.
They should know that they're your nemesis. I think that makes it more fun, but, like, I guess life is complicated.
Right. Anyway, where the 2 continued their uninterrupted quarrel. Nadia, the desk attendant, popped a handful of sour candy in her mouth, but continued to talk through the gummies. Logan and Louise debate heating up. I bet this one goes as long as the water is wet fight.
Oh, God.
Let's not get into it. Let's hope not.
I'm just going to bring up every internet argument from the last year.
Yes. Let's hope not. I have family visiting next week. Winnie set her purse down on the desk and sniffed. And I've accepted that you won't take all that metal out of your face, but please don't chew with your mouth open, baby. It's impolite. But Mom... Nadia joked, then shut her mouth in apology. She couldn't resist a subtle wiggle of her septum piercing, though. Winnie gave her one good, stern nod, then looked over to the lounge again. And the puzzle? That's all Miss McPhee. She said if they finish it in under 2 hours, she'll give them $50 off their rent next month. Well, the older one.
I like this sitcom where like there's just a conniving landlord making people do dumb tasks. That's how Mr. Fishotter should be. Just be like, I've decided that all my tenants need to be in a poetry contest.
And whoever wins, free rent next month.
Yeah, he would get so much dumb amusement out of stuff like that. Why is that not a thing? That should be more. Yeah.
Right? This seems like something you would like to do too.
Just make people do dumb shit for my own fun? Yes.
Right? Well, the older woman huffed, you should tell Annie that hardly seems fair to the rest of us tenants. It's rigged. Nadia tilted the bag of sour candy into
It's rigged?
Yes. You'll see why later.
Oh, no.
Nadia tilted the bag of sour candy into her mouth, but found it empty save for the excess malic acid dust. Face puckering, she clicked her tongue and spoke through the cringe. You better take an umbrella if you're headed out. The cards said it would rain. The cards or the Weather Channel. I've got no patience for your devil magic today. Tarot isn't devil magic. Tarot isn't devil magic. It helped me prepare for this storm after all, Nadia said, recovering from her sour hangover and gesturing to Logan and Louise.
Are these characters that are in the show already? I was trying to go through my adult
I think they are.
lexicon of it's Bob's Burgers characters, and I couldn't remember in Nadia.
Winnie might not be a character. These might be OCs. I don't know.
That's okay.
It's not.
Just out of curious if there's a picture I can recall to my brain or not.
Maybe it's all explained in the rest of the series. I don't know.
Oh, fair.
I was here for the Lugana. The Lugan. Tarot isn't devil's magic. It helped me prepare for the storm after all, Nadia said, recovering from her sour hangover and gesturing to Logan and Louise. Oh, and how's that? I brought snacks. And she ripped open another bag of gummies she had hidden under the desk. Factoring out the icing. You can't just factor out the icing. Louise stared at him in
You're
dismay.
not wrong.
That's an essential part of cake.
Yeah.
It's like taking the filling out of pie.
Yeah.
They'd already gone back and forth on the merits of cake and pie for the better part of an hour, yelling about tastes, flavors, and textures, all without relenting work on the damn puzzle. For what felt like the millionth time, she considered dropping the conversation altogether,
You can't. It's too far.
but knew her stubborn pride would never let her, especially not in the competition against Logan of all people. Something about him. Maybe it was his dumb face, with his smug eyebrows and stupid
She gonna
cocky
slap him?
mouth that never shut up. No, but she wants to.
She likes slapping people.
He irked her in ways she couldn't describe. Wrong, he said, swiping a puzzle piece she had been staring at to click into place in his section. You scrape off the icing, it's still a cake. But if you take the filling out of a pie, it's no longer a pie. So cake needs to be good enough to stand on its own. And guess what? It's not.
No.
That's an overgeneralization.
No, it's like taking off that back crust of the pie to make it a bar.
Yes. That's an overgeneralization and not fair. She retaliated by taking the partially finished section from him and moving it within the edges on her side, having spotted its corresponding piece. Cake comes in a huge variety. All of the components can be swapped out for something even better.
True.
Versus a pie where you just get a dry crust and bitter goo.
Bitter goo. Band name.
Bitter goo. Bitter goo. Just because you have the sweet tooth of a 6-year-old doesn't mean all pie is bitter. Don't talk about my sweet tooth like you're...
Ever had a pecan pie? Come on, Louise.
Right, come on.
I know your dad has made a lot of pies over Thanksgiving. Come on.
Don't talk about my sweet tooth like you're on a first name basis, but it doesn't change the fact that pie is more limited to creation than cake. Chocolate, cream, fruit, savory, he countered.
You can, no. You can't start bringing in like shepherd's pie into this conversation. That's just a totally
Oh
other.
yeah, shepherd's pie is not a pie.
I mean, it's a pie, but we can't compare it to a cake.
There's not
They're just
often
completely
a
different foods.
crust. A chicken pot pie is a crust. A shepherd's pie has no crust. It's just mashed potatoes on the top.
Well, this isn't the I've never made a shepherd's pie. Doesn't it have what's on the bottom?
Nothing. Ceramic bowl.
Oh, well.
You just fill a ceramic.
Yeah, that's not a pie.
Yeah, that's bullshit. So shepherd's pie is not pie.
I was thinking of pot pie, which
Chicken pot
I
pie
do still
is.
think we're in a dessert place right now. We can't just start bringing in main courses.
I know, right? Again, cheesecake, not a cake.
Yeah, same.
Shepherd's
Yeah.
pie, not a pie.
Yeah.
These
Is there any cake that's like a dinner food that's called a cake? Like, I guess crab cakes is where we're going. Yeah.
We also last night had a sweet corn cake,
Oh, true. That could have gone either way.
but that was like a muffin. But
if
like,
that had frosting on it, it would have been a cupcake. Would have been gross, but it
yeah.
would have existed.
So yeah, it's like I'm trying to think if there's any other savory
Cakes.
cakes.
I'm sure there's other.
I know there.
stuff.
I know there is. And what am I thinking?
Is a fruitcake a cake?
I don't want it to be a cake.
Whoa. I think it's a bread.
It really is a bread. It's like a really
It's closer to like how a banana
Fruity.
bread is a bread.
yeah.
And not a cake.
I think it might be a bread.
But if you made it in a cake pan,
If you
who
put
could argue
frosting on
wasn't
it and
cake?
decorated it, everyone would be disappointed. If it's not made with frosting normally, I don't think it's a real cake.
Because also like things that look like
Like
cake,
you
but
can
we
take
don't.
the frosting off. Like you
Yeah.
could have a naked cake or like a minimal cake or whatever, those things that were really
Because
popular.
like a souffle
2 years ago.
is all the ingredients of a cake sans frosting, but we
it's
don't
not
call it a cake.
No, it's a souffle.
Whoa.
If you don't put frosting on cupcakes, they're just muffins.
Are muffins?
Cake?
So, okay,
No.
there's got to be a tertiary item of like.
What is
baked
between
good.
bread
yeah.
and cake?
Yes.
Baked goods.
There's a third thing.
A Danish.
Yeah, Danishes, donuts are not cake.
They're not bread either.
They're
What?
donuts.
What?
They're baked goods.
Where?
So, oh no, because donuts can be cake.
It can be cake.
Explain when are they cake? Like a cake donut?
I mean, it's cake.
Oh,
like,
okay.
The actual like material.
Sure.
Is,
And they do have
Yeah.
frosting, but it's not a cake. It's a donut.
what if it's big? What if it's big though?
If you make a donut like in the same way you can make a cookie cake,
Don't.
It's just
think
a
about how
cookie.
You achieve it.
it's a donut cake. You know what I mean?
Cookie cake is
It's
still
the
a
size.
cookie.
Cookie cake is a pizza.
Cookie cake
Cookie
is
cake
a
is
cookie.
a pizza. It's just cookie. It's a dessert pizza.
No.
It's a dessert pizza.
Pizza is more of a cake than a cookie cake is a cake.
Maybe pizza is pie?
Deep dish pizza.
Deep dish pizza is a savory pie. I don't think it
In
can
the
contribute to
family-
this cake
yeah.
v pie conversation, but I do
God.
think it's more of a pie.
Cake. Savory cakes would be like biscuits, but not. I'm thinking like dumplings.
Yeah, is there any savory baked good like biscuits and gravy, like something that has like a frosting savory version?
I feel like there are savory muffins, but if muffins are not
Muffins are not cake.
cake, then they don't count.
No.
It still feels like a bread. I think those are breads.
Bread is like the biggest umbrella, so it can be a bread and not be a cake.
But pie is
Pretty sure I'm team pie.
Pie is not a bread.
Wow, this is gonna stick with me.
The fact that pizza can be included in the pie family.
I think in the pie v cake conversation, I think you got to stick to desserts, or we're going off the rails.
In the family reunion of pies, pizza shows up. For the family reunion of breads, cakes, and
the family reunion of cakes, if a crab cake showed up, they'd be like, "Who are you?"
I'd be like, get out of here.
I don't think you're actually part of this family. I think you changed your name
A
to
crab
cake.
cake is closer to a meatloaf than it is to a cake.
Is a meatloaf a cake?
Is
No.
a meatloaf.
That's probably the closest to a cake. That's not, because it has like, you're supposed to put like not a frosting, but you're
Yeah,
supposed
the
to put
sauce.
stuff on top, like a glaze.
Or
yeah.
like ketchup or barbecue or whatever.
Yeah.
What that stuff is.
It's a meat cake.
Is a meatloaf a cake?
It's a meat. This is what I'm saying. We can't stray too far from the original thing. Because that gets into a valves or doors conversation. Like we can't open that can of worms. There'll be too many worms everywhere, and they'll all be talking to us.
Watch, we'll find all of our listeners are door people if they just.
Now they're shutting down.
Guys, it's Wheels. Just get over it.
It is Wheels. If you think of meatloaf as a cake, we gotta stop.
It's just,
We've flown too close to the sun.
with all of this, do
There
you
needs to
think?
be parameters.
Do you remember when we? It's
Our
like
bagels cakes. Sorry.
Are bagels cakes?
No, bagels are bagels.
Bagels are donuts.
No, they're not. No, a bagel is not a cake. You make it so differently from a cake.
Do you?
Yes.
I mean, yes, but also no.
Oh my god.
If you make the New York way, where you like boil them,
yeah, you have
but
to
like
boil
some
them.
of them
Can
are
you imagine
baked.
a boiled cake? No.
But there are boiled cakes. That's
What's
what
a
like
boiled-
figgy pudding is.
That's a pudding.
But it looks like a cake.
It's not a cake.
The first time I saw a figgy pudding, I was like, "Dear British people, this is not a pudding. This is a cake."
Wait, but
That's because they call desserts pudding.
I was gonna say because I call desserts pudding.
Language is complex and dumb.
Jello.
A pudding.
cake.
No.
Except those Jello cakes are.
What is a Jello cake?
Or like, does that also mean when you make a savory Jello? What is that called?
you just put gelatin and stuff.
No, it's called. It has a fancy name. It's
I remember that they made it on the Great British Baking.
an aspic. It's an aspic, which is a savory Jello.
an ass pick.
Yeah, it's an aspic.
An aspic.
No, not aspic. Aspic.
Aspic.
Aspic.
I have an ass
I
pick.
guess.
I have a pick for my ass.
I don't know how to type it. Aspic. Jello.
We have to get back to this pick at some
No,
point.
we really don't. This is more
This pick was
important.
actually 500 words because Claire knew we were going to fight the whole time.
It's 3,000 words, but yeah.
We have to keep going then.
An aspic, ASPIC, is a savory gelatin made with a meat stock or broth set in a mold to encase other ingredients.
Yeah, that sounds like some 50s bullshit.
Also
Yeah, that's
sounds
that
like
50s
a
bullshit.
savory cake.
No, I don't think that's the mechanics of how a cake works.
You don't get to decide.
I disagree. I think I do.
Of course you do.
I have, what even tab am I on? I have aspic on it.
If you say I have to go home and set my cake, I think people would have questions.
No, you're vegan. You don't have to worry about these things.
Yeah, I never have to worry about gelatin.
This
Yeah,
is-
if you brought a cake to my birthday party and it was a fucking aspic, I'd be like, we're not friends anymore.
The troll. That's what Claire and I can do for your birthday. We have a nice gift for Claire on her birthday, and for your birthday, you just get
My birthday's already passed. It's too
next
late
year.
now.
Next year.
You bring me a meatloaf as a cake.
Aspics were like really
No, we're not
popular
friends. In the
like
50s.
yeah, and like because they
'Cause they
were
were making
popular
everything.
when they were also popular in like the Victorian age because people
Oh,
were
yeah,
like
true.
hot for Jello molds.
Yeah,
and then they got
just
popular
discovered
again
the
in the 50s.
the technology of gelatin.
Yeah. Anyway, we should get back to this.
Get back to our fic. We wrote 10 words.
Babs, look what you have wrought.
Babs!
Babs!
Curse you, Babs.
Where even was I? Cake comes in a huge variety. Chocolate, cream, fruit, savory, he countered. But interesting point about boundless creativity and cake aesthetics. Reminds me of fondant. Louise stilled. Fondant. How could she forget about the absolute dog shit that is fondant?
You're not wrong.
That its main purpose is for decoration, and cakes are decorated in ways that get whole TV shows dedicated to them. Try this one in that corner, she said, passing him a puzzle piece. It fit. Are you seriously dissing a good lattice for fondant? Logan waved his hand around in desperation. Fondant? Maybe
Fondant is bad. That's fine. Like, that's not really a part of the cake conversation.
Maybe I am. How many TV shows can you name about pie? Louise waited barely half a second before continuing. Exactly. Whereas I've got Cake Boss, Cake Wars, Cake. He paused. Whether to put another piece into place or to stall, she couldn't
know
tell.
if they make pie on the Great British Bake Off. Not consistently enough that I can remember every pie episode.
It's because pie is American.
Yeah.
Fair.
Logan stared at her, and the corner of his mouth turning up slightly even as he refrained from their discussion. His eyes widened suddenly, and he snapped his fingers. Pie is dominating the music industry. She's my cherry pie. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Classics. He listed.
We're getting a little off the beaten path, my friend.
Okay, but there's... Louise trailed off, then stood suddenly. Her
Cake.
Her knee hit the coffee table and startled them both into a catching position. None of the puzzle pieces fell. She straightened, muttering, I have to go to the bathroom. She walked away to the first floor restrooms. She emerged not a minute later. Birthday cake by Rihanna.
That's what I'm saying.
You had to Google that, Logan called over her shoulder.
One of the most incomplete Rihanna songs. Definitely not one of her best, but I'm not mad about it.
You had to Google.
Still good.
Yeah, right. You had to Google that, Logan called over his shoulder, scooting to the side to make room for her to sit back on the floor next to him. Plopping down, she scoffed. Wrong. I called Jean, so you really gotta look me in the eye and
yep.
So are you really gonna look at me and tell me that Warrant comes anywhere close to Rihanna?
Pie is just easier to rhyme.
Pie, yeah.
Cake has less lyrical choices.
Cake,
It doesn't mean that literal actual pie is better.
Right. Okay. But there are some big names attached to cake. But that's the only point I'm giving you. And it's a weak point. He tapped another section in and pointed to a pile he had started for her. She preferred searching for pieces in grouped colors. You're just mad because you don't have any cake, Louise said, bumping his butt with her elbow.
Bumping his butt with their elbow?
Yes. Is cake starting to sound like a made-up word to you? Nadia asked. Ooh, there goes Logan's twitchy eye. Winnie tisked, then held out her hand for another sour gummy. Why did Annie put them up to this anyway? The older woman asked as Nadia tapped the bag until a few candies fell into the waiting hand. She's touring their floor with the inspector today. They always manage to scare off visitors with their, as Annie calls them, passionate disagreements. I'm not surprised. Makes you wonder why we're standing here. Neither moved, however, somehow still entranced by the back and forth. Hey, Hey is for horses. Right, sorry, ma'am, Nadia corrected. Do you think they actually believe half the stuff they're saying? No, I think they both like the sound of their own voice. And between you and I, when you leaned in, I think they like the way they sound together.
They're both incredibly stubborn.
Yeah, they snickered together conspiratorially. You only like cake because it's cheap. You're cheap. No, you are. You, stop it.
That seems like a I'm just saying words argument.
Yes.
I don't believe that at all. Nonsense.
You, stop it. Cakes are the dessert for special occasions. Only because it's artificial and more readily available than pie.
And better.
Just because
feeding a large crowd.
Just because something's cheap and available doesn't mean it's bad. You spoilt. She took a deep breath. Tell me, how stupid does this sound? Congrats on turning 4, Timmy. Now blow out the candles on your birthday pie. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Who's bringing the pumpkin cake? It's just as stupid sounding.
I love pumpkin cake. No. It's actually a good cake.
Oh, having to fall back on the traditions of a problematic holiday? Not looking good for your case there, Bush. Louise smirked as Logan's shoulders hunched defensively. That one bugged him. A couple more of those and she would get to see his defeated face.
Oh.
Hopefully, it would be prettier to look at than this English cottage that they were almost done putting together. Your dad loves Thanksgiving. How are you going to bring up my dad for your point? Easily. Well, your mother Hey, wait a minute. Louise stopped to look under the coffee table, then under her own butt. She stood and kicked at Logan, who joined her in standing. After another survey of their area and a shake of the puzzle box, she pointed down at the board. She shorted us a piece.
No.
Sure enough, there were only two pieces, but 3 empty slots left. Louise and Logan were unable to complete the puzzle. That conniving bitch, Logan said, both amazed and insulted. Could we run into the past gas? Annie couldn't have gone the gas station. Annie couldn't have gone that far to get this, so maybe there's another copy there.
At the gas station?
There's lots of stuff at gas stations.
I guess that's just wouldn't be where I'd buy a puzzle.
Agreed. I doubt that shitty convenience store carries puzzles. Plus, it'll take just as long to find the one piece we need.
Yeah.
You've
opened up another one to search for.
Yep.
And you ruin that next person's day.
Yep. Think we could shake her down for it? Probably, but I bet she wouldn't give us the money. Humming his agreement, Logan stared down at the box and then inhaled sharply. I got it. Give me your shoe knife.
Yeah, make a new piece.
Without question.
Give me your shoe knife.
I was waiting for you to be like, the knife came from the shoe.
That didn't surprise me.
No. Without question, Louise reached down to the holster near her right foot, not unlike the one she first spotted on Critter back when they were kids. She unhooked the dagger and held it for Logan to take. He did, picked up the puzzle box, and sat on one of the couches. After catching his drift, Louise nodded with a whispered, nice. It would be if my hand wasn't so unstable. Here, Louise sat next to him and put his elbow on her thigh. With the extra leverage, he could poke holes with more confidence. She ignored how, with each movement, his arm slid further down her thigh.
Oh.
Swallowing, she resumed her argument. Cheesecake. What?
Oh, God, here we go again.
Cheesecake, she repeated.
Doesn't count as cake.
One of the most luxurious and popular forms of desserts is cheesecake.
Ew, no.
Pie can't compare.
I don't think that's true.
Cheesecake is basically a pie, he snorted.
Kinda.
It's in the fucking name, Logan. In that black hole you call a heart, deep down, you know it's more like a pie. After he finished poking the cardboard out of the box, Logan held the small squarish piece shape up for her inspection. She took the knife and the makeshift piece from him to smooth out the nodes. He didn't move his elbow as he ticked off his fingers. Open-faced, cream filling, crust base, pie. Face it, pie is amazing. A homemade crust, fresh fruit, sitting on the windowsill to cool is literally the quintessential image of domestic bliss.
You cannot jump out of a pie to surprise someone. I feel like that's a big negative for pie.
Ooh, university boy used the word quintessential. Isn't he so smart? Louise mocked. I went to college too, and I know that a quintessential pie has to be homemade, and it's a pain in the ass to do that. You know how easy and amazing a mug cake is? Of course I do. I love trashy food. But
you can't make a mug pie.
It's true. Probably not.
I mean, I'm sure you can, but it sounds really hard.
But that's what it is. A low quality, quick fix. The chances of getting a mediocre cake are so much higher than a bad pie.
I disagree.
And a mediocre cake tastes like a 3-month-old kitchen sponge. Louise scoffed, then placed the last piece down in the puzzle. It was rough, but it would work. As per the agreement, they both leaned in for a selfie with the timer that Annie had set for them. Logan stuck his tongue out while they both flipped their middle fingers to the camera.
Yeah.
Picture out of the way, she resumed the argument. Dry pie will cut up your mouth, actively harming you. Louise crossed her arms and stuck her nose in the air. And what chances are we even talking about? Show me the data, Einstein, because it sounds a lot like personal bias to me. Like this entire conversation isn't personal bias.
Exactly what I was going to say. This is all opinion.
It's not. Cakes are objectively better because
no.
they're sexier.
No. What?
Are they still going at it?
What does that mean?
We'll get into it later. Are they still going at it? Victor, another tenant, asked, coming in through the front entrance and shaking his umbrella of excess rain. Nadia tied off the short green braid she made out of her own hair and answered him. Yep, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be as intense as wet water. Well, y'all keep score for me, Winnie said, pushing off the counter. I think I've missed enough of the church potluck. Are you sure you don't just need to rest your weary bones? Victor teased. Rolling her eyes, Winnie responded. You can only get so much joy out of watching an argument where there's one clear answer. Oh, that's true. Everyone knows the best is pie, cake. Winnie and Victor's
start a whole apartment battle.
Winnie and Victor's heads snapped to stare at each other simultaneously. Nadia opened another bag of gummies. Did you just say cakes are sexier than pies? Logan recovered quicker than she thought possible, because there's a scene in American Pie that would heartedly disagree with you.
I don't think that qualifies as sexy. Just sexual. They are not one and the same. I do want to know what she means by a sexy cake, though.
Louise scoffed. Are you really going to measure eroticism by what a teenager will stick their dick in?
You're not wrong.
Fair enough, but that doesn't explain how cake is sexy.
Yeah.
Strippers jump out of cakes.
That's what I'm saying. You can jump out of a cake.
Strippers also famously come on stage to the song Cherry Pie. When was the last time you went to an erotic pie shop? Never. It's always a cake shop.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just because most people are too unimaginative to make pies that look like a pair of tits doesn't mean everyone is incapable. Not enjoying his rapid-fire comebacks, she stood and paced the length of the lounge. Logan sat back on the couch and rested his legs atop their completed puzzle. There was a lightness to him that she envied, but Louise reasoned with herself that oftentimes they took turns being the carefree one. When an idea hit, she swiveled back around to face him and kicked out one of his legs. Food play. His eyes widened, and she chose to look up at the ceiling as she finished her point. You can eat cake off your partner's body, but no one ever does that with pie.
You're not wrong.
It would be too sticky and gross.
Yeah, unless that's what you want. Unless that's what you're going for.
Making a buzzer noise to get her attention back on him, Logan held his hands up to form a T for timeout. Have you actually done that? What? I mean, I always kind of thought if you were kinky, you'd be more into the sadism side of things. But all right, food
we
play.
Are getting so off track. Which one is more sadistic, cake or pie?
More into the
pie.
Yeah, right? But all right, food play. I can get into that. Shut up. That's not what this is about. It is now.
Oh,
hey,
God.
everybody. Louise wants to try. And thank you, Mrs. Smith from Publix Works. Annie projected from the elevator hall in a not-so-subtle bid to get them to shut up. We are so glad that you could join us in our peaceable and well-functioning apartment complex today. Despite the warning, only Louise and Logan quieted down. The other pair in the lobby, Victor and Winnie, continued to bicker. With an exasperated smile, Annie hurried the inspector out of the front door, then sighed long and hard. She clapped her hands together and resumed a chipper, straight-backed pose. So, what do we have here? With a brief glance at the front desk, Annie chose to focus on Louise and Logan, who both pointed at their completed project. Annie's smile didn't fade. It never did, but her eyebrows scrunched together. What? How did you? Does it matter? We did, Louise shrugged. Digging into her blouse pocket, Annie pulled out the last piece and stared at it. It took her a second to realize its relevance. We finished it in under 2 hours, Logan said, showing off their selfie proving their statement. So pay up, lady. Stunned, Annie looked at the completed puzzle and the two awaiting their prizes. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes, though they snapped open a moment later. Her smile grew. Wow. Genuinely, I'm so impressed, Annie said as she mimed cheerleading, especially given the conditions you were both working in. You really beat my expectations. Yeah, your little klepto trick was cute, but... Annie cut off Logan with a wave of her hands. Oh no, not that. I knew you two were bright enough to overcome something that minuscule. I bet it didn't even faze you. No, I meant tension seemed pretty high earlier, calling each other idiots over. What was it? Tarts? Pie, Louise corrected. And I see what you're doing. Nice try, but my hand's getting cold, and the only thing that can warm it up is a nice green Ulysses S. Grant. Of course. Nadia, can you bring me my purse?
Wouldn't they just seems like they would take it off the rent and not give her the $50 in cash.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Nadia saluted, then disappeared into the back office, and Annie picked up a loose thread while they waited. I understand wanting to let the conversation die, Louise. It's not easy trying to sell cake as a superior dessert. Are you kidding? I had the upper hand before you interrupted us. Please, Logan crossed his arms. You were 2 moves away from losing so bad, small fry. I was not. Was too. Sex appeal was your trump card, and nobody here thinks cake is sexier than pie. Mouth agape, Louise turned to the crowd. Spotting the resident lesbian, she singled her out. Lesbians always had the right answer. Miss Winnie, which is sexier, cake or pie? The tenant in question raised her perfectly manicured eyebrow at them both. She opened her mouth, but Logan beat her to the punch. Tut-tut-tut-tut. Nah, none of that. He moved in between Winnie and Louise. It's not fair. You're just going to seduce her. She happens to be seeing someone right now, and I would never disrespect that. She would. I'm not her type, numbnuts. Bullshit. You're everyone's type.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Wait.
You don't.
Wait a minute.
You don't. Not sure how to take that. Louise swirled her wrist.
You're everyone's type.
Just like cake is. Devastatingly attractive cake. Enough, Annie said, quiet but still commanding the room to immediate silence. This is hardly appropriate lobby talk. And besides, she inspected her nails. Everyone knows the best dessert is a cookie. It was silent for only a beat before Louise and Logan exploded in a fit of disbelief bordering on rage. A cookie? What? She said, a cookie? Louise sputtered. If you're going to step into the ring, then you need to bring the fucking heat. Logan shook his head in clear disdain. A cookie? What is she thinking? I know. Might as well called a raisin the best version of grapes. Louise mocked her, voice pitched lower than a drawl. I'm bringing cookies to the potluck. Can you guess what kind? Oh, I don't know. Is it some variation of chocolate chip or sugar?
You'll never find a raisin in a cake.
Unless it's a fruit cake.
Which is not a cake, as we have decided. I actually don't think there's raisins in fruit cake. It's like dates and stuff. I don't know.
I think
it's the weirder fruits.
What?
It's like,
I'm Googling.
It's
what?
like jelly, like those weird cherries.
I think it's all preserved fruits. I think you just fucking throw everything in.
But raisins are dried. They're not preserved. They gotta have some moisture. That's gonna be a bad cake.
All right, from this recipe, everyone's favorite fruit cake.
I'm sure it is.
It has 150 reviews and they're all 5 stars.
Great.
There are 1.5 cups dried pineapple. Okay. 1.5 cups raisins, 1.5 cups dried apricots, 1.5 cups dates, 1 heaping cup of candied red cherries, plus extra for decoration.
Candied cherries, that's what it is.
Crystallized sugar, and then rum, brandy, apple juice, or cranberry juice. And then there's like all the cake mixes
I don't know if this counts as a cake. The more you say, the less cake it feels.
Starting to feel more like a granola bar. Anyway. We're talking about cookies. Annie uncrossed her legs, her back foot tapping at the tile floor beneath her. Well, there's also oatmeal raisin. Oatmeal raisin! Okay, you know what? Let's go. Louise grabbed
Logan. You just lost your argument, man.
Louise grabbed Logan by the sleeve and pulled him away. This woman has lost her mind, and there's no reason to keep this up. Agreed. I couldn't find your purse, Nadia stated, finally emerging from the office. Did you put it in one of the locked drawers? Oh no, I forgot that I didn't bring it today. Annie put her hand over her heart as she showed her appreciation. Thank you for looking anyway. With a sniff, Winnie shook off the encounter and pointed a delicate finger to the elevator hallway. So what do you think they'll have at their wedding? Pie or cake? Don't start that again, Annie warned, looking out.
No one has a pie at their wedding.
I'm sure some people do.
But it's always a controversial choice.
Yes. Don't start that again, Annie warned, looking out in the direction of the 2 retreating figures, so caught up in their emotions they forgot to collect a prize. Logan tugged at Louise's beanie, and she pushed his laughing form off balance. Annie turned back to her audience. But it's definitely cake. And that's the end.
I agree. That's funny.
But yeah, so that was pie versus cake.
Yeah, a lot of arguments I wouldn't have thought of.
I know, it was beautiful.
Really good enemies to sexy enemies. Not quite lovers, but the seed was there.
It's the beginning seed. You got to plant the pod, and then it like matures and grows.
Yes, it didn't fully fruition to lovers this day, but perhaps in the future.
When you go and watch Logan Week. In end of September, then you can perhaps see the culmination to lovers. So yes,
excellent.
So Grace, what are you bringing for us next week?
I had to look it up because as per usual, I have forgotten. Next week, I will be diving into the high school required reading possibilities.
Ooh.
Yeah. So not the Scarlet Letter.
I was like, so famously we've covered the Scarlet Letter.
Yeah. I have a couple ideas of where I want to go, but who knows where we're going to end up.
Ooh, exciting stuff.
Last time we really tried to get Lord of the Flies to happen and it did not happen. So I don't know what's going to happen next week.
Lord of the Pies.
Lord of the Pies.
Lord of the Pies. Queen of the Flies. There's
Queen
so
of
many
the Cakes. Lord of the Pies, Queen of the Cakes.
Queen of the Cakes.
Dumb. So if you're excited for that, stick around next week for more reduction of stuff we've already done, maybe successfully, maybe unsuccessfully. I think that last one was pretty successful. That was a good episode. Go back and listen to 50 Shades of Scarlet. One of the best.
Wild. It's a wild episode.
Good times. And in the meantime, we love to hear from you for all reasons. in all places all the time. And you can get in touch with us at any of our social medias. We are Fine Pairings Podcast on Tumblr, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and Fine Pairings Pod on Twitter.
And you can also reach out to us over our email, finepairingspodcast@gmail.com. And that is also where you can send us requests. You can comment things to us, speak to us directly, or send us a screenshot of your 5-star review on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. And there you can request your reward of a 500-word fanfic of your choosing, written by Grace or myself.
Yes, custom made just for you.
Homemade like a pie.
Homemade like a pie or a cake.
Or a cake.
Either one. And if you haven't heard enough of our beautiful voices, we are always having just the best time on our Patreon podcast, the Steam and Cream Podcast. And you can find that at any of the links either in the show notes or the bios on our social media. Or if you want to type it in yourself, it is patreon.com/finepairings podcast for $5 a month. You can get 2 smutty episodes of different fanfic we read to each other. Sometimes there's a theme. Sometimes we just go off of whimsy.
And also, if you are not wanting to make a continuous monthly donation, we also have a Ko-Fi.
We take tips
where you can send us a little tip of your choosing.
Buy us a drink.
Buy us a drink.
All right, and stick around for the rest of Redux Season 6. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Season 6, the remix.
Season 6 remix. God damn it.
It's been there the whole time. So sorry. Back
You
to room
ruined the
tone.
room tone.